Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Got Tom back in the studio today via Zoom.
Woo! Let's go.
Yeah, we got a nice little card here. Free card too, UFC Vegas 44. And we start off with really one of the best featherweights of all time, down at bantamweight. But first, let's say thank you to our sponsor, Tampa Bless, Home Team Do Good, TampaBless.com for more information. Also, just quickly, like, subscribe. I had a few videos. I had a little glitch. I wasn't able to put them up. Apologize for that this week, but we'll get right back into it. All right, so let's start off. We got Rob Font, ranked number 4, 34 years old. He's 19-4, minus 145 favorite, and he's on a 4-fight winning streak, last beating Garbrandt. Jose Aldo, ranked number 5, age 35. He's 30-7. He's plus 125 dog, and he's on a 2-fight winning streak, beating Munoz and Vera. Tom, this is a real tricky one. Jose Aldo going down in weight has looked great. What do you see happening here?
Well, we got good to be back, by the way, y'all. Marky, yeah, let's do it. Rob Font, the American, 34 on one side, 5'7" in height. The Brazilian Jose Aldo on the other side, 5'6" in height. Rob Font holds a 1.5-inch reach advantage. Font, 19-4 overall, 9-3 in the UFC. He's a brown belt in BJJ. He's got the white McCall in Muay Thai as well. He's coming off a unanimous decision win over Cody Garbrandt, as you just mentioned. That was in May 2021, and that made it 4 wins in a row as well. Jose on the other side, 30-7 overall, 12-6 in the UFC. Black belt in BJJ, black belt in Luta Libre, coming off a unanimous decision win over Pedro Munoz in August 2021, and that's 2 wins in a row for Jose. What do I see here? Listen, Aldo, very crafty and continually evolving. He doesn't, like on his last fight, you saw he was doing that quick leg snap back where you couldn't get the leg kicks on him very easily. He's constantly evolving his game. It's going to be very close, in my opinion. I think one big thing is, can Aldo work his legs on Font? Can Aldo get the kicks in on Font? I think ground favors Aldo, but I don't think it's going to get there. I think this is going to be a stand-up. You know? I think Rob might be a little bit quicker. I'm not sure, though. You know, his boxing game's really tight, though. I'm kind of leaning towards, like I mentioned, those question marks, but I'm leaning towards Rob here by outpointing Aldo for a close decision win.
Okay. All right. I mean, can't argue that. That's how the bookies kind of see it. Now, I got a similar opinion, but a little bit different. I think Font, just to mention, Font's never been knocked out. That's kind of important here. I don't think we see that change, but I do think we got a live dog in Aldo. Aldo, to me, as you said, he's always evolving. I think he's got to go back to the well and start using his leg kicks. The guy was deadly with leg kicks, and he's kind of fell off path with those recently and fell in love with his boxing. And his boxing looks great, too. Let's not knock on it. Really, toss-up, I feel like I should lean towards Font because this is a 5-round fight. 3-round fight, I definitely lean Aldo. 5-round fight, Font has a great gas tank. He showed it over and over again, and Aldo seems to fade a little in the championship rounds, as we've seen. But really, who does Aldo lose to? Petr Yan, maybe the greatest bantamweight of all time. Alexander Volkanovski, showing he might be the greatest featherweight of all time, besides Jose Aldo. I mean, Maurice, and what most people thought, Jose won.
Conor, don't forget Conor.
That was a long time ago, but Conor and Max Holloway. I mean, that's who he loses to, the elite of the elite of the elite. That being said, I think Aldo gets the upset here. I think we get a decision. I think both guys are really good. Font normally has a reach advantage. He has a little bit of speed advantage. I think Aldo is just, as you mentioned, he's 35, already been the champ, already is one of the greatest of all time, and he's still getting better. He's still learning new things, new tricks, new traits.
No, I'm a fan.
I just think he knows what it takes to win, and I think he goes out there with a game plan and nullifies some of the things that Font is so good at in that cartel. I wouldn't be surprised if Font wins, but I think Aldo gets it here. I think beating...
And you calling a decision
I'm calling a decision by Aldo, and I think the last fight versus Garbrandt, he looked so good, but for me, Garbrandt looks like Tyrone Woodley right now. He's just a deer in headlights, and he doesn't look to be. He's got to get out of his own head. I hope he does good going down in weight. He's going to a flyweight, and I like Garbrandt. I hope he does good, but he has looked horrible lately. And I'm not taking anything away from Font. His performance was awesome. But now let's jump right into the card game here, because Font is starting to pick up steam. Just don't know how long he can keep it up. If he gets this, I mean, he's going to be in line for a title shot, almost a guarantee. Whether he takes another one in between is going to be kind of up to him. You know, that title's kind of held up right now with Aljamain, and Jan just kind of got the interim belt, and TJ actually came back and won. So it's a little tricky if he wants to try to hold out, say his title shot. That's the only problem right now with that scenario. But if he gets this, his rookie card is 2019 Museum Auto, which already sells for a decent price, nothing crazy. My problem I have is I would say his Prism is probably more valued than his Museum card, his true rookie card. And that happens sometimes when they go to the new sets. Now, Jose, arguably the best featherweight in history. I mean, he's up there, top 3. Some would argue he's the best. I mean, for a while there, he was just unbeatable. WEC, then UFC. He came out so long ago, 2010. Is his rookie year with WEC card, in 2011 for his UFC and Finest. I think he's a buy at these prices. I think he's still outstanding in the cage. And I'm going to use this one time in the show here to mention, though, I don't put a heavy buy normally on the older fighters just because there weren't enough eyes on the sports back in the day. Not because I don't think the guys are great or more talented than today's guys. It's just that not many people were watching back then. That's simply it. So not as many people cherish those guys and look for those guys.
And it's rare to have a guy that's been around this long that still is in title contention.
Title contention. Problem is, Piotr Jan is absolutely a stud. He is so good. Well, that's a different topic. Let's move right on because we got another really good fight right here. We got a lightweight battle. Brad Riddell, ranked 12, 30 years old. He's 10-1, minus 105. He's on a 7-fight win streak, last beating Drew Dober. And I'm very high on Drew Dober. He's going up against a guy I love, Rafael Fiziev, ranked 14, age 28. He's also 10-1, and he is the favorite right now, minus 115. And he's on a 4-fight winning streak, last beating Bobby Green. Tom, this is an awesome fight. How do you see this one playing out?
I mean, these top two fights, that's something else. We haven't seen top 2 fights like this on some of the free cards that often. This is really high end. Brad Riddell, the Kiwi, 30 years old, 5'6" in height. Rafael Fiziev, the Kazakh, fighting out of Thailand, 28 years old, only 28.
I know.
5'7" in height. Brad Riddell, 10-1, as you mentioned, UFC 4-0. So 4 wins in a row in the UFC. He's coming off that unanimous decision win over Drew Dober in June 2021. He's a purple belt in BJJ. He has a kickboxing record of 59-10, as well as some boxing experience. So he's very well rounded, Brad Riddell. Rafael Fiziev, 10-1, same record overall. UFC, though, he's 4-1. He did take 1 loss. He's coming off a UD decision victory over Bobby Green, August 2021. And he has 4 wins in a row because he lost his first UFC, but he's won 4 since. So both of them are on a 4-fight win streak in terms of the UFC. Brad's on a longer one if you include his overall. Rafael is a blue belt in BJJ. How do I see this? I mean, they both trained together in Phuket, so they know each other
right
outside of the UFC in actual training. This is a tough pick, man. It's going to be a war. I really do like both these guys, but I actually like Raf a little bit more. I'm just not sure if Raf can match the strikes with Dober. Dober also, I think, has a little bit of a meaner streak in him. It's tough, man. And Dober is very tough. Yeah, it's a tough call, but you know what? I'm going to go with the person that I actually like a little bit more as a fighter, even though I like both these guys. I'm going to go with Raf here by decision.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see it pretty close. I think this is another fight this leans towards the gas tank for me. I think we've seen Fiziev. He's got insane striking. He's got great power. But he has a problem using it for all 3 rounds. We've seen him. He fades a little. I think Bobby Green gets the W if that's a 5-round fight. He might even finish him. Bobby Green looked phenomenal in that fight. He just didn't have enough time. He didn't start picking up till late. It's confusing a little matchup because also, like you said, they train together. Rafael Fiziev is a coach over there in Phuket. He's one of the main guys. People like Valentina have gone to him. Riddell has gone to him. They know what he's about. They have a little advantage, I feel like, in that scenario just because he is the coach over there. He's that talented, though. And I think Riddell has a crazy motor on him. I think this is one of the harder fights to pick on this card. I like this fight. I don't think I'm going to lay any change on this fight here. I'm going to take Fiziev by a super close decision, maybe a split. I think he's going to be very similar to the Bobby Green fight, where he just goes out there, wins the first round because he's just so explosive, starts to fade in the second round, but does enough to get the nod in the second, and then starts to lose the third round. I don't think he's chinny in any way or anything like that, where Riddell just goes out and finishes him. I think that's the problem. I think Riddell's probably going to run out of time, just like Green did, and Fiziev's going to get the hand raised in this one. I agree with you 100% in a Fiziev decision.
But that mean streak that Riddell has, he fights real mean and kind of tough. I do think is kind of, if I was going to make an alternate pick, I wouldn't pick Riddell by decision. I'd pick Riddell by strikes.
Yeah, Fiziev's got, you see him with his moves, his head.
No, I know. I think it would be
movement's
late though. It'd be a combination of, it's not going to be like a first round thing in my mind. It'd be a combination of fatigue, and then you get then you're catching some strikes. That's
what I mean. I think he runs out of time. Otherwise, that would happen. If this was a championship fight,
right. I mean, I'm going with Raf by a close decision, the same as you. But if I was going to make an alternate pick, it'd be third round Riddell by strikes.
Right. Well, that kind of goes against your whole first pick, so we'll just leave that one, out. But all right, we'll go right into the card game. Brad has a rookie card. He's new to Prism this year. I have to see him beat a few more ranked guys, though, before I can put a buy on him. He's climbing, but this division is stacked, and he needs a few more victories. And those guys in New Zealand, they have a hard time fighting often now. Just still with visa problems, the new Omicron variant that's a cold and everything like that. They're going to probably get locked down again. They just said they're not moving to the United States. They were in talks about it. But we'll see if they...
Oh, really? I didn't hear that.
Riddell came out. But we'll see if they get locked down again or they can't make it to some more fights. You just never know. That's the problem I have with the guys out of the kickboxing team in New Zealand there. I mean,
Crute too. The next guy, Crute, is gonna have issues as well. Australia is terrible right now.
But those guys are all so talented on city kickboxing. They're obviously Adesanya's just nearly unbeatable at middleweight, and everybody likes Hooker in there and everything. Right? No, they're super talented. I just feel like they're getting screwed right now. Now Fiziev's not even printed. Otherwise, I'd say the same for him. He's got to beat a few more guys.
I can't believe he's not. They got to put him out in the next series. I mean, the guy's too good.
Yeah, he'll get put out. I'm a big fan. I like Fiziev a lot. We'll see if he can work on his gas tank. That's my one problem with Fiziev. But I can't put a buy on either of those guys yet. We got to wait and see them win a few more fights. All right, we got a light heavyweight battle. This is another great fight. This on a free main card. This is awesome. We're getting Jimmy Crute, ranked 13. He's 25 years old. He's 12-2, and he's a minus 160 favorite. And his last fight was that horrible loss to Lionheart, where this is just gross. I don't even want to watch that one again. Doing a little tape work, I don't want to watch that one. He's going up against Jemiah Hill, and who's ranked 14, 30 years old. He's 8-1. He's plus 140, and his last fight was a loss to the Bear Jew. And Paul Craig is just a warrior out there, so there's no shame in that one. He broke his arm, right? Or did he just disconnect his arm?
I never got the results on that, but it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched it live, but I never
his
heard
arm.
I'm
not sure. He might. Okay. I forget. I think he broke his arm. That one. It was just dang.
Yeah, I want to say
he was still fighting. He was still trying to fight in that one, but obviously they had to call it. Yeah. So Tom, how does this one play out for you here?
All right, Jimmy Crute, the Australian, only 25. Crazy to think that. He's only 25 years old. 6'2" in height. The American Jamaha Hill on the other side, 30 years old. 6'3" in height. Jamaha Hill holds a 5-inch reach advantage over Jimmy. Jimmy's 12-2. Overall, UFC, he's 4-2. He's a black belt in BJJ, a blue belt in judo. He's coming off that TKO stoppage loss to Anthony Smith, April 2021. I saw remnants of that, except it wasn't completely debilitating because Shane Burgos didn't work on it enough. But Billy Q almost had that same scenario happen to him if he would have took a couple more kicks to that front leg from Burgos. You got John Mahal on the other side. He's 8-1-0 with 1 no contest. The 1 no contest he actually won, but it was overturned for weed. The UFC, he's 2-1 with 1 no contest. He's coming off that TKO elbows and punches loss that put him into that position. Black belt, he's a blue belt in BJJ, Jamaha Hill. Where do I see this? Crute needs to be very mindful of the leg kicks. And I'm sure nobody needs to tell him that after that fight with Anthony Smith. But that needs to be mentioned. Don't go out there and leave your legs exposed. You got to be a little bit more in and out. You got to be mindful of that because you obviously are susceptible to that. I mean, Anthony Smith, I don't remember. I knew he had heavy leg kicks, but I had never seen him do something like that to anyone. So maybe Crute is a little bit more susceptible to that. I don't know. He's got to be careful, though. That said, I'm going with Jimmy by sub, maybe a Kimura, round 2.
Yeah, I like it.
Jimmy's got great ground
you mentioned
game.
it. There's no gimmies on this card. Both young, phenomenal guys. I think Crute has that strength advantage. Even when he basically, it's disgusting. He didn't break his foot, but basically broke his foot in that fight. He still took Anthony Smith down incredibly easy. He's just got so much power. He's a very large man. He's not super tall. Like Jamal Hill's going to be taller, but Crute just has crazy strength. I think he's going to stick to his strengths. As you mentioned, he's a black belt in BJJ, a blue belt in judo. Get in there, go for the takedown, use that strength early, and get some ground and pound. I don't think Jamal Hill just fades, though. I think it's really going to be a battle here. And we all know all the rounds start on your feet. But we saw that the big advantage is Jimmy Crute has a victory over Paul Craig. Jamal Hill has a loss to Paul Craig. Now, just because you get subbed by Paul Craig's nothing new. He's got high jiu-jitsu. He's got great ground game, Paul Craig. But I think we see Crute be able to take that game plan, use his strength, bully him to the ground, and I think he gets some of those mean elbows and gets some ground and pound for the victory here. Fast. I don't think you want to stand up in the first
Which round?
I think it's going to be first round.
Okay.
Because I don't think he wants to go second and third rounds where you have to stand up and now you're going to be a little tired because you were wrestling using your judo and everything like that. You got to get that early finish in this one to me. I don't love the line, but I like Crute. I think Crute bounces back and he looks good in this fight. Now, both men, they were just printed in Prism and both need another victory here. So you can't put a buy rating on either of them at the moment. They need to move up the chain a little bit more, start fighting inside the top 10, and then we could probably see if one of them can really hang. I think Jimmy Crute should call out Anthony Smith again for that loss if he gets his win, but that's just me. All right, so that's my pick here. Hold on both these guys, and we'll decide to reevaluate a little bit later. All right, next fight. We got my guy right here. We got a middleweight fight. Brendan Allen, 25 years old also. 17-4, minus 365 favorite. He's on a 2-fight winning streak, last beating Punahele Soriano in that crazy fight. And he's going up against Chris Curtis, who's 34 years old. He's 27-8, and he's plus 280 dog. And he's on a 6-fight winning streak himself. And his last fight, he KO'd Phil Hawes. And he was a heavy underdog in that fight, too. I think even more than this fight. So look out. Tom, what do you see happening in this one?
Brendan Allen, the American on one side, 6'2" in height. Chris Curtis, the American on the other, 5'8" in height. 17-4-0, Brendan Allen in the UFC. Overall 17-4, UFC 5-1. He's a black belt in BJJ, and he's coming off that unanimous decision win over Punahele Soriano, and he's got 2 wins in a row. Chris Curtis on the other side, 27-8-0 overall, 1-0 in the UFC. That was his debut against Phil Hawes. He's coming off that KO win against Phil, in which he was being dominated in, and Phil basically gassed himself out and then got knocked out. But it shows you how tough Chris Curtis is. He's almost pulling that Rocky Balboa technique on you, where he's doing, or Muhammad Ali, where he's doing the rope-a-dope kind of. He's getting punched on. You're not taking him down, really. At least we didn't see Phil Hawes do it. And, you're gassing yourself, and then he's giving you he's knocking you out, but it's a knockout as a result of you being taxed from hitting him too much. And that's what happened to Phil. And I think right now the UFC is saying, was this a fluke or not? Try Brendan Allen. Okay, because if you can get Brendan, this is no fluke. Okay, because you just did Phil Hawes and Brendan Allen, you're a threat.
Right, definitely.
We'll see. You know what I mean? The crazy thing, though, is that this is going to be either a month even, or maybe even a little less than a month since he fought, because he fought in the beginning of November against Phil Hawes. That's a crazy quick turnaround. So it's one of the quicker turnarounds you'll see. That said, I got Brendan Allen by sub round 1 or 2.
Yeah, I like it. I'm a Brendan Allen fan. At first, I just want to say I think the line is too high at -365. They're not putting any respect on Curtis's name. And we just saw Curtis with a great win. He has tons of experience. It's not like just because he's in the UFC, he doesn't have a lot of fights under his belt. And he has some good guys he's fought against in other leagues and stuff like that. It's not like he's fighting nobodies for 30 fights. It's not true. I think we have another live dog in this spot. I think Allen should handle his business here. I think he has the UFC experience. He's improving every single time out, too. I think the main problem will be if he falls in love with his striking too much, as we have been seeing lately.
Don't do
Curtis has a chin. Curtis has power. Allen needs to mix in the takedowns and get to the ground game early and often, and not just try to stand, because we've noticed that. As his progression, as he's involved, he just wants to stand. You got to stick to the game plan, and I think he can roll to a decision pretty easily here. But he's got to stick to that game plan. Don't fall in love with striking. We saw what happened, why his striking got so improved. He went up against Strickland, and Strickland murked him. My goodness. But Strickland is, we know now, he's just an elite striker in all of the UFC. He's unbelievable, too. But Allen hasn't lost since. Just don't fall in love with that striking. Get the game. He's known for his ground game. Don't fall in love with the striking too much. And I think I'm with you on it. I think we see Allen get the victory here. Now, as far as the cards go, Allen's a young guy. He's new to Prism also. I like his skill set. His improvements are awesome. I think he needs to get by Chris Curtis, become ranked, and then we reevaluate him there. I think Curtis needs to get a few more victories before we even see him printed. He's just jumping into the UFC now. I'm sure they're picking people for the next print run already in Prism, and I don't know if Curtis is going to make that cut. Maybe if he gets a knockout here, they'll instantly put him in, but I think he's got to beat a few more guys, and then we'll see him printed. All right, let's move it right on. I mean, this is the prelims. This card is very good for a free card. You could tell them taking off a week, they wanted to pump this card a little bit. We got...
And we skipped, and don't forget, the only reason why we skipped Clay Guida, that's going to be a fun fight. And I got Clay Guida winning that, but I'm hoping Clay comes away with the victory there by decision. But we're not covering that just because it's not relevant in the card game, really, even for the future card game. But don't forget fights on there that we're not covering for that reason, but that doesn't mean they're not awesome fights, and people that are into the sport are going to love it.
Right, absolutely. I mean, we don't miss a fight. But we got a flyweight cop, age 28, 16-6, -265 favorite. His last fight was that flying knee win over Ode Osborne. He's going up against Zaglis Zumagulov, age 33, 14-5, +215 dog, and his last fight was a win over Jerome Riviera. This is another close one. Zaglis has had some really bad decisions against him, and Kopp has had a few losses, but Kopp was a super high prospect. Does he get his name back and go right up the rankings here, or does Zaglis, finish this one? What do you think?
Well, I'm just going to tell you, I didn't cover this one in depth. I thought I just covered Menafield Knight to finish it up because I wasn't sure if we were covering Cop or not. I think there's a little miscue on that one, but I'll pick it right now, right on the fly here, because we had discussed it anyway. I got to roll, man. You said he's the dog, but I'm going with Zumagulov, man. He's got that, it sounds like a name, like some of these guys coming out of there. He's Kazakh, right? And a lot of these Kazakhs have the name that when you say it, it almost sounds like they might be associated with like Mordor or something in Lord of the Rings, Zumagulov. But I'm going with Zumagulov here, man. I'm picking him, man. I like him.
I believe he's another live dog in this spot. I think Zaglas has a ton of skills in the cage, and he's just had really bad decisions go against him in the UFC. It's his fighting style. Sometimes guys don't have that explosive style, and they get just bad decisions against them. The judges don't like their style. The UFC doesn't like their style, and they lose because of it. And I think Zaglas is one of them. Now, Manel Kape was supposed to be the next superstar. They paid big money to him, and they fed him to the wolves. His UFC debut was against Alexandra Pantoja, who potentially is going to fight for the belt. You throw him right in there. That is not an easy UFC debut. I could tell you that. That guy is a stud.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we see a striking affair here, though. Both guys love to strike. You think Zumagulov would be more of a wrestler-grappler, but he's a striker. And I think that favors Kape with his wild strikes, his serious power. I think we see a knockout by Kape. I'm going early knockout. I think Kape catches him, and I think he just fades him. He's so skillful. I don't think we've seen
I agree with you. I'm not going to disagree with any of that because everything you said is true. But I'm on the other end. I think Zumagulov's going to win here by decision and not get put out and be able to outpoint and get the control.
He might be able to. I think he's a live dog here. I do. I definitely think it's possible to see that.
But I like your scenario as well because it's very true that Manel has all those abilities as well.
I think if Manel can put it together, he's the better fighter. That's what I think. But he hasn't showed he can stick to his game plan, knock ass out, all those things. If he can do all those things and he has a strong training camp, I just got to see. I just think Kape has advantages. He's just so talented out there. I'm not taking anything away. I think Zumagulov, if he wants to get him up against the cage, wear him out, outpoint him a little bit, I think he can. I think it's a very close competitive fight here. I'm just going with Kape's going to do one of his crazy, I don't know what he's going to do, a wheel kick and maybe catch him or something. He's just wild out there, and I like that. Yeah, he won on the jump knee in the last fight. Yep. And I think that can happen again.
Yep.
Now, both men, they're not printed just yet. I think both are talented. I think Kape is way more touted, though. The UFC loves those jumping knee kind of guys to rise up. They're more exciting for the fans. They bring more money. So, that being said, I think Kape probably gets printed. I don't know if we're going to see Zumagulov get printed right away, but we got time on both of them for sure. We'll reevaluate them in their next fight. And the last fight we're going to cover is the light heavyweight matchup. Alonzo Menafield, he's 34 years old. He's 11-2. He's a minus 145 favorite. He's on a 2-fight winning streak, and he last beat Ed Herman. That was a crazy fight. He's going up against William Knight, age 33. He's 10-2, plus 125, and his last fight was a win over Fabio Cherant. Tom, how do you see this one playing out right here? Strikeout artist for a strikeout artist.
This is going to be this. Well, first off, I don't see this making the second round, but if it does, I'll be surprised. But we got Alonzo Menafield, the American, on one side, 6 feet even in height. American William Knight on the other side, 5'8" in height. Menafield holds a 3-inch reach advantage. Menafield 11-2 overall, 4-2 in the UFC, coming off that unanimous decision win over Ed Short Fuse Herman in August 2021. William Knight 10-2 overall, UFC 2-1. He's coming off that round 1 KO win over Fabio Cherant in August 2021. I believe Alonzo has a win over Cherant as well. My pick, I'll be surprised if we see a second round. Like I said, it should be a banger. Whoever lands that big first punch or strike has a big advantage. I mean, they could potentially win.
Right.
I mean, either one of these guys with one hit, they're that type of size individuals that they could put you out. But I'm going to go with Alonzo. I got him round 1 KO.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. I just think we see here Alonzo is much more of a true mixed martial artist. I think size also matters. William Knight is very short for the division. I'm not saying Alonzo's a giant, but Knight is very small. Not small. He's very short for the division.
Nice. Boom. He's
yeah,
thick.
He's super thick. I just don't see Knight having a ton of skill set out there either. He kind of swings wild. His last fight where he did get the knockout, he kind of closes his eyes and goes in, and he swings like an animal. And if he connects, yeah, it's good night. But when you get up to guys who have a little bit more of a game plan, a little bit crisper boxing than you, it becomes really tough and you really get exposed. And I think Menafield looks that good out there. He doesn't just swing wild punches like he used to. We saw that in the Herman fight. Yeah,
I think Menafield holds a win over Paul Craig.
Well, I mean, listen, Menafield hits you. It's good night. But we saw Devin Clark actually take a hit from him and just get him up against the cage and work him and work him. And Clark's no joke. That guy's – I don't think he wins the championship, but he is tough. And he's a big boy. Yeah, he's got good wrestling and everything like that. But Menafield seems to be able to go to the deeper rounds. He does gas, but he still seems in there.
Menafield's more athletic.
He's more athletic. Sure. He's got the skills. He's got power in all 3 rounds, is what I'm saying. Knight has some knockouts late too, but I think they're more of luckied hits, where Menafield seems to have just crisper strikes, in my opinion.
I mean, if Menafield goes in there and swings, then he could get knocked out as well. But if he plays it smart,
Menafield has a great chin too, though. We've seen him eat some big shots from guys. And I think Menafield's going to have a little bit more of a game play. He's going to wait on the outside, use this little bit of reach advantage, this little bit of height advantage, and then he's going to bum rush him with a flurry. I think Knight has to bum rush him, and Menafield hopefully has his little game plan. He can move out of the way a little bit. Knight's going to gas. Just too much muscle on those guys. Boom. I got Menafield. I got him same way you got him. I don't see this going 3 rounds. I don't know if we make it out of the first 3 minutes. I think Menafield gets it done, and I think he just puts Knight to sleep. Now, both men, they're not printed yet. I don't know if we're going to see either of these guys printed, quite frankly, this coming year. I think both guys need to get another win. I think Menafield gets another win, though we do see him printed. He's been in the UFC. He's got a few big victories over guys like Ed Herman and stuff like that. So we have a shot for him in the beginning of Q1 here for him to be in Prism. I'm not sure about William Knight. I think, he fought in the UFC a long time ago. They didn't give him the contract because he just looked too raw. And honestly, he looks too raw still to me, but just my personal opinion. All right, guys. Well, we appreciate you joining in on the show today. We're glad to be back hosting here, and we will see you guys next time.